Hello and welcome to another video. Living in Wrexham, it's very hard not to be swept away by the tide of euphoric emotion sweeping the city as their beloved football team has achieved back-to-back promotions for the first time in their long history, taking them back to the third tier of English football for the first time since 2005. This Phoenix-style rise from the ashes is nothing new in football, of course. Luton Town are currently celebrating 10 years out of non-league football and are still just about in the Premier League. Similarly, AFC Bournemouth, another small club, has ascended from League Two to being a Premier League mainstay in 6 seasons. So, maybe now, after 2 successive promotions, the talk of a 10-year plan to get to the Premier League by the glitzy North American owners is actually becoming more Oscar-winning than Raspy-esque, as boardrooms across the land plot ways to derail the sleeping giant Welsh juggernaut and make famous their bad intentions on TV screens and streams across the world, giving a not-so-happy ending to the docu-series. Okay, time for a reality check. I'm going to use Luton Town and AFC Bournemouth as comparable clubs despite their elevated league status. There are pros and cons to all 3 outfits, but fundamentally, at the moment, they all share similar ground capacities up to this point. That said, Bournemouth have made it abundantly clear that a new stadium will happen very soon to enable them to fulfil their European dreams, and they've already splashed the cash to the tune of £40 million for a state-of-the-art training facility. Luton are also shelling out some serious capital expenditure in the region of £100 million for their brand new Power Court Stadium, which will have a capacity of around 23,000. Interestingly, just an aside, both Bournemouth and Wrexham's highest attendance at their grounds was in the same FA Cup competition against the same club, Manchester United, in the same year, 1957. Anyway, back to the point. Even with the increased capacity following the building of the new Cop stand, will the racecourse be big enough to compete at the highest level in the long term? Already, in League Two, Wrexham's adult ticket prices ranged from £17 to £25, with Luton's, in the Premier League don't forget, priced between £21 and £36, so not a huge difference. Bournemouth's are higher at £28 to £53, but that's probably more in line with top tier expectations to be fair. All 3 clubs have significant sponsorship deals, with the naming rights to the racecourse given to Stock Coffee, a Danone brand, HP on their shirt sleeves, no, not that one, that one. United Airlines as the main shirt sponsor, taken over from TikTok, and a very recent addition of food and drink sports theme brand, Gatorade. Both Bournemouth and Luton have also attracted large sponsorship investments from brands such as Vitality, Utilita, Domino's Pizza, JP Morgan, etc, etc, etc. Sponsorship is crucial. It was also reported that the £3.4 million generated by Wrexham in their recent financial report for retail income outperformed any other sales stream for the club. Maybe all the shirts sent over to North America flew by United Airlines. It would make sense, wouldn't it? So, a little more about the financial report then. Despite almost doubling income, Wrexham also roughly doubled their annual loss. This may make some Wrexham fans wince when I mention payroll, having a reported increase from just over 4 million to just under 7 million per annum. However, despite having a squad rumoured to be worth 2.2 million, the average weekly wage for the players was only £2,700 per week. However, that would represent the full playing staff at the club. In terms of training facilities, Wrexham somewhat shot themselves in the foot by selling Collier's Park to the university in 2011. I'm sure the institution made a tidy sum when they sold it on to the Welsh FA 8 years later. It has, however, left Wrexham without a permanent training base, which must be a priority if they are to keep succeeding. Obviously it was a necessity at the time, I assume, and who was to know what was round the corner. Luton faced similar challenges, having previously sold their ground to the council and in doing so incurred large rental costs. Their new stadium is not just a desire, it's a necessity to stop racking up expenditure to an outside body. Wrexham currently owe the R.R. McReynolds Company, owned equally by Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, £8.977 million in loans. To top this, revenue from the Welcome to Wrexham documentary series wasn't included in the football club's statement, as money from that is allegedly paid directly to the actors as executive producers, alongside Ryan's production company, Maximum Effort, who co-produce the show. That said, however, the situation is somewhat guarded and complex, so I welcome any clarity in the comments, please. This is not to be cynical or critical in any way of 2 guys that have embraced the club, culture and community of Wrexham. I just hope for the good of everyone they are in it for the long haul and invest in the capital expenditure required. Now, Before I go back to discussing player wage bills and ground capacities, I'm sorry to say I do need to quickly explain financial fair play, or as the Premier League call it, profit and sustainability rules, PSR. No! Snooze fest! Well, yeah, sort of, but let's keep it simple. So in terms of financial fair play, it's a set of rules to stop football clubs spending more than they generate, and Premier League clubs must not make a loss greater than 105 million over the past 3 seasons. There are many caveats, however, and it's a minefield with additional rules around secure funding, owners buying shares and so on. The bottom line is to spend within your means. It was brought in to improve the overall financial health of European football and to prevent financial doping, as they call it, by rich owners. In Leagues 1 and 2 of the EFL, this is represented by a limit on spending as a percentage of turnover or face a transfer embargo. Are you still awake? So, how does this affect Wrexham? Okay, let's consider the current state of play in League 1 this season at the time of this video being created. It's no surprise that the top 3 clubs with the highest home attendances and with grounds that can facilitate that, more importantly, occupy the top 3 positions in the league: Derby, Bolton and Portsmouth. Portsmouth average approximately 5,000 more than the 4th club, Charlton Athletic. The top 2 have average home gates that exceed 20,000, with Derby attracting roughly 27,000. This is the league Wrexham are about to join. Yes, we could argue these teams may get promoted, but they'll only be replaced with some similar big hitters from the Championship and Rotherham. Now, the average salaries of Derby County players per week is reported to be just over 5,500, double that of Wrexham's current player outlay. This doesn't take into consideration transfer fees either, and with the current Wrexham model spotlighting players with experience at the twilight of their careers, it may be something that will place a drain on their finances moving forward. Portsmouth, 3rd in the league, do have a weekly wage bill of just under £4,000 per player, with gates around 18,000 for home games, so that sounds a bit more realistic. But is a racecourse, even with the new cop, going to be big enough? Now, let's just imagine the unimaginable and 2 more promotions for Wrexham. Why not? Luton did it, Bournemouth sort of, and what about RB Leipzig and Darmstadt in Germany? Can ambition compete with the oil barons and oligarchs? Well, let's go back to Bournemouth for this. In his first season as the owner of the club, along with other investors, Bill Foley spent in the region of $130 million in the transfer market alone. The weekly wage bill at the club exceeds £1 million, with Justin Kluivert on £80,000 as an individual player. That's okay. Ryan and Rob are minted, aren't they? Well, yes, they are in layman terms. They have a combined net wealth of around 330 million, and Ryan as company is worth much more, but would he sell them to invest in Wrexham? Would he? Even forgetting the Premier League for a second, even in terms of the Championship, their wealth would be far down the pecking order. There are obviously many huge opportunities for Wrexham. Their worth as a global brand has never been richer. Their social media presence is in the many millions. They have a great crop of players and owners who have won the hearts and minds of the club and the community, but so far the road has been relatively smooth. As I alluded to earlier, the squad is not getting any younger. Perhaps they now need to follow a model used readily in countries like Germany. If they're good enough, they're old enough. They can bring players through the academy system. Maybe a consolidation season or 2 in League 1 is essential at this stage. The under-18s for Wrexham are currently in a decent position in their North West division, and Wrexham has always been a hotbed for emerging talent. You only have to look at the success of players from the area. So it's interesting times ahead for Wrexham, lots of decisions to be made. Can they match Luton and be the only other club to achieve 3 consecutive league promotions? Time will tell.